2005 in a trial that took place in Oxford, where the people with the compatible equipment were able to receive 16 digital channels. The initial response was positive. Big things were expected of DBBH, and indeed the European Commission decided that DBBH was going to be the broadcast standard for mobile television in Europe. Unfortunately, though, they dragged their heels a little bit in deciding this. As you can see, the date in the middle there, July 2007. In this article, it says once it rolled out as soon as possible. But of course, that involves building a network of transmitters and also getting the manufacturers on board. And time was ticking. In the UK, the first 3G mobile network had been launched on the 3rd of March 2003. So that's 4 years before the EU Commission decide what broadcast standard they want for handheld digital TV. Now, the first few years of 3G in the UK were a pretty fallow period. The three mobile operators at one point were just giving away the handsets to try and get enough people to sign up to the service. And I got one of these out of them, which did video calls and things, a bit of a clunker. But if I trade it in now, I'll get 4p for it. So at least I make 4 pence profit on the deal. But despite those faltering first steps, by the time the iPhone 3G came out in 2008, or insert your own preference of handset here, the 3G networks were quite well established. There are a number of different ones operating, and yet still the DBBH receivers hadn't appeared in the stores. However, elsewhere in Europe, the DBBH standard was enjoying a little bit more success. It had gone beyond the initial trials and was being rolled out on a limited basis in a number of countries. But if you look now to see who is using DBBH, if we click on the link at the top, which takes us to the official website, that pretty much tells us everything we need to know. Yes, as far as Europe is concerned, it appears that DBBH withered on the vine. Now, while I haven't been able to find any recent details of European countries that are still using this standard, if you do know of any, please put some details in the comments. Meanwhile, over in South Korea, things were very different. They'd adopted a different standard of handheld digital television rather than DBBH. They were using TDMB, but it pretty much did the same thing. But the crucial difference was they hadn't dragged their heels with it. They'd managed to get it out around about 2005, back when phones looked like this. So this is the era when a mobile phone wouldn't do much more than make phone calls or send text messages. So the idea of being able to receive live TV broadcasts on one from about a dozen or so channels definitely had an appeal, especially when you don't have to pay any data costs for it. Now, the Korean DMB system, as well as broadcasting television signals, also sent out digital radio, and it's very similar to the digital radio system we use here in the UK called DAB. And in October 2006 in the UK, Virgin launched a mobile phone which could receive 5 television channels over the DAB network, and I did own one of these for a little while, and it definitely worked, but unfortunately it was a bit of a clunky phone. It didn't appeal to people at the time compared to the other phones that were available, and the service was discontinued in January 2008. So when it comes to handheld digital television, it seems that South Korea are the exception to the rule. It's still in use today, and there are perhaps a dozen or so channels that most people can receive on the devices. However, it doesn't seem to be offered in the latest flagship phones. I was looking on the Korean Samsung website. They don't mention it on the top of the range phones. It's only on lower models in the range. And of course, it does require a little aerial to come out to the top of the phone, so you can't really fit it in the latest slimline model. So perhaps even South Korea are falling out of love with handheld digital television. Okay, so that's the backstory over and done with, but what handheld digital television can I buy here and now? Well, this is the model that I've chosen. It's a little bit larger than handheld, and it's unbranded. You won't find these from Sony or Casio anymore. And you can see on here, this is a DBBT and T2 model, but they do a few different standards as well. And this one cost me approximately £45. Let's take a look at the specs. Starting at the top here, super slim fashion design. Well, that's important. 7-inch screen. Moving down a little bit, it's got a 1200 milliamp hour battery. It's got a built-in PVR. It can play various media files as well, as we can see there. The resolution towards the bottom, 800 by 480, which isn't bad for a screen of this size. Of course, it does DVB-T and T2, so it should be able to receive the HD broadcast. So let's get everything out of the box and have a good look at it. We've got the user manual, we've got the remote control in a really nasty shade of form. And we've got a wire here for sending video into this, because you can use it as just a monitor So that's got the composite inputs on there. You've got a little tiny aerial, and then we've got the power brick here. And if we just have a look at this, it's got a Euro plug on it, and the voltage is on here. You can see a multi-voltage. So I need to put an adapter on that if I'm going to use it. The cable on that is ridiculously short. It's just over a metre, approximately 3.5 feet, which in my opinion isn't sufficient, but I'll just have to put up with it. Inside the other box, we've got the television itself, which feels very lightweight and insubstantial. Once we take the screen protector off here, you can see we've got a matte screen, which gets rid of reflections, which is nice. The stickers on here look like being thrown at it from a distance, and they're not quite on straight. We've got an infrared receiver on the bottom there, and along the top, we've got a selection of buttons which enable us to operate various things, get through the menus, etc. Now, if we just have a look around the back, you can see there's no buttons on that side. They're all inputs and things are on this side, so I've got those laid out there. I don't need to read them to you, but you can see you've got a headphone output on there as well. Got a little leg that goes out of the bottom here, which enables you to stand it up, of course, a little kickstand. And also on the back, we've got a tripod screw mount, so you could perhaps attach it to something that way. 2 speakers on here, not too sure what that's about. Are they stereo, one above the other, or is it just both of them playing the same thing? But there are a speaker behind each one of those, and it receives a 12-volt input, which of course will presumably be to do with using it as a kind of device in a caravan or some kind of RV, sending a 12-volt power supply from a vehicle into it. I'm plugging this into the wall, of course, and I've got a little aerial out here. You can see the lights flashing on the left there. That indicates the battery is charging. The little battery, as we mentioned before. Remote control has all the buttons on it that you need for a digital television, and you need some batteries though. So I'll just open this up and put a couple of AAAs into here. So putting the cover back onto there, I thought, well, let's just press the on button, see what happens, and nothing happened. I thought, oh no, it's not broken, is it? I can't bother sending this back. But having a look around, I noticed there's an off switch on the side here as well. So slide it up. You can see the other LED comes on at the bottom there. The left one's the charging one, the right one is the power, goes green when it's on, get the menu coming on. And I thought this was amusing. If you look at the bottom of the screen here, the little bar there tells you the last channel it received, presumably the one they got on it when they were testing it. And it received Cambodia video. Well, unfortunately, I can't pick up Cambodia video in my house. I'm going to have to retune it so it receives the signals that are available in my area. So I'm going into the menus here, selecting the automatic tuning, pick that I want just to use the DTV because there's no analog TV in my area, click UK, and then it just starts scanning for channels. Now, I've never had any luck with these little tiny aerials, but I thought I'll give it a go. Perhaps this time it's going to be the time that it works. But I let it go through the entire process, and as you can see at the bottom there, and all the way up for that matter, it's found nothing at all. It's got to 100%, didn't find a single thing. So I thought, well, I'll try out the media player functionality. At least we'll better get some video playing on it. Now, you can put video files on a USB stick or on a micro SD card, and I've put an MKV on here, an MOV, and an MP4 just to try all 3 out. So I've got to say all 3 worked fine. This is an MKV that I've got playing on it here, which I downloaded from somewhere. Don't tell anyone. As you can see, I've got all the options across the bottom of the screen for scanning through it, pausing, all that kind of stuff. It works really well as a media player. This is a 1080p file as well, and of course, if you get subtitles, you can get those to pop up, which is quite nice. So there's a little media player for 40 odd pounds. It's not that bad. There's a bit of a downside to it though. It will only accept a 4 gig file size at maximum. So if, for example, you had a film that was 7.5 gigs or something, but you couldn't put that on it because it only accepts the F80 file format. As you can see, you get a nice little pop-up to show you what the file is, a little preview of it as you move your cursor over it. But anyway, enough of that. Let's get back to what we're here for, trying to watch digital television on this thing. Now, I've left it charging for about 4 hours or so. That little red LED on the left goes solid when it's finished charging. So I thought I'll try it on the battery to see how long that lasts. And I also took it downstairs, put the aerial as high up as I could get it away from the device in the conservatory area. I thought there was a bit more sort of sky there, less things in the way. Did a scan, again, absolutely nothing at all. So went out in the garden, put the aerial on top of a wooden mushroom, did a scan there. Again, not a sausage, completely sausageless. So I went back inside, plugged the aerial from the house, the one that's on the roof, into the side of this. I thought, well, let's see if it's working at all. Did a scan, and sure enough, it is. There's no problem there with a proper aerial I got, what's that, 100 and odd different television channels on there, as well as some other stuff. And the video comes through perfectly, no breakups at all. Quite nice and sharp, really. Of course, I'm in a room with a lot of reflections here. There's light coming through the ceiling, but you can still see it. You can see across the screen there. As I jump between channels, it comes up with information about what the channel is and the name of the program that's on it, a bit of information, whether it's got subtitles or not, just like a normal digital TV, which we tend to call Freeview televisions here in the UK. But we've got a little channel list that can go down to look through different channels it's picked up, and they're all working exactly how they should. I've got to say the sound on this is tinny, very tinny through those little speakers, like kind of very metallic sounding, unpleasant really. You wouldn't want to listen to it for a long period of time, but you can always plug it into an external speaker, I suppose, but then it's losing the point of it being a portable device. Now, the power just went off, and that was after only 20 minutes of using it on the battery. I tried this again, I charged it up overnight, tried it again, I only got 20 minutes out of the battery. So it's got a 20-minute battery life, I've got to say that. Anyway, the next thing I want to point out, it's got a built-in PVR functionality. So if you put a micro SD card into here, you can pause, tell it, you can rewind it, you can set programs to record. You can see I've got the subtitles on the screen here now. So it's really fully featured little Freeview television. Also, if you look through here, I've got the program guide that's slowly populating with the names of the programs that are coming up. But it takes a little while for that data to come through. Unfortunately, though, there's a bit of a problem. I was trying to use the BBC Interactive stuff, and you press the red button across the bottom of the remote, and you'd only move up and down with the remote control to select things. However, if you press down or up, it just changes the channel, so it drops you out to the interactive stuff and moves to the next channel. I've tried that a few different ways. I've noticed you can type the number in of the item you want. For example, I've typed sport in here on page 300, but when it comes up again, I'm supposed to go up and down the page to select things, and as soon as you do that, it drops you out of the interactive stuff. So yeah, forget the interactive stuff. But I'm also interested in this aerial. Is this aerial broken? Is it particularly bad? I thought, you know what, I'm going to try and get a different one. So I went on Amazon, I looked at the best aerial that they had, or the best selling one anyway, for $10.95, a portable aerial. Obviously, I'm not carrying around a massive aerial that you put on a roof or something. Maybe something that matches with a TV. It's got a weighted base on this. It's got a magnetic base. I thought, well, this will be the one. Let's try it out properly. So again, nothing upstairs, nothing downstairs in the conservatory at all. So I went upstairs again, hung the aerial out to a window, started to get a bit of a signal on it, but it was breaking up a lot. Just have a listen to this.
Finito.
Do you think this glacier will
Let me just show you the retro Japanese electronic novelties that have arrived. Got three. We've got an old-fashioned television, a miniature boombox, and a tiny record player. We'll start off with that boombox, though. That's the one that really attracted me to these, and made me pick the others up because they're all part of a set. But we'll get this one out of the box first and take a look at it. These are all modelled after real electronic devices from the past, and they all do perform some kind of a function. I'll show you what those are. This one requires 3 AAA batteries. It comes with a cassette that fits in it, but you'll notice that's not a real cassette. There's no actual tape running across it. However, there is a small notch in the end, and it is you.
I'm gonna watch some of this and go do something else like this, but YouTube on.
It's turned up today, and I thought you might want to see it. Of course, it's a Star Wars The Force Awakens soundtrack on vinyl, music by John Williams, but this one comes with a 3D holographic experience. Now, I'll try my best to demonstrate that to you later on, but let me just show you what else you get if you decide to pick one of these up. Well,